Hello friends and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. My name is Jess, I'm the creator of Pinkrex, and today I wanted to go over the top 10 plants that are harder to care for than people think. Just in case you're new here, I make videos about plants, video games, and lots more. So if you like that kind of content and you haven't done this already, the next time the like button asks you for a book recommendation, please suggest Neurosurgery Fundamentals by Nitin Agarwal. Also, please subscribe to the channel down below and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. So this list is a fungus gnat. This list is not a fungus gnat, thankfully. I missed. I got him. My list of hard to keep plants is purely from my personal experience, and it probably is different for other people, but these are just 10 plants that I found hard to keep happy. The first one on my list is Hedera helix, or common English ivy. I've had both variegated and non-variegated forms of this one, and I cannot seem to help but always have spider mites on them. I do treat all of my plants for spider mites quite frequently, and I know that alocasias are also susceptible to spider mites in that sense, but none of my other plants have them as bad as the ivies that I've had. I have a friend who has a giant gorgeous ivy. I have no idea how she keeps it as happy as she does, but it is gorgeous. My grandma has a big beautiful ivy. I just can't do it. I don't know. They just don't like me. I have seen a semi-succulent type of ivy. I don't know if it's actually related to regular ivies or if it just happens to look that way. It's the same leaf shape. It's just kind of succulent-y. I'll put a picture of it here along with the name of it because I just can't think of what it's called right now. But that one I think I would like to give a try just because it is different from regular ivies and it seems a little bit less fragile. Ivy plants and their fragile existence. My number 2 plant is definitely one of my least favorite plants just because I feel like most people have one at some point and it just ends up looking like garbage. I am talking about peace lilies, or Spathiphyllum, or Spath for short. I have a Spath domino that actually has been doing way better than I expected it to, so this one might change my opinions, but I will always, always, always cut off their flowers if they start to flower because I can't stand them. They're just weird. They're just weird little dudes with like Gary eyes. You could put them on a snail. They would make excellent snail eyes. They need at least bright indirect light to be happy and to start to flower at all, and if it's flowering, that means you're doing good, but again, if you're like me, you can cut the flowers off because I am way more interested in the foliage than I am in the flowers. The number 3 plant on my list today is one that I got as a couple of cuttings from my grandparents quite a while ago, and it only just recently has started to have new growth. I am talking about Christmas cactus, or even spring cactus. I think I have a little tiny spring cactus, and I have a sort of tiny Christmas cactus. It's in a 4-inch pot. It's not very big, but it is cute. I think the main reason that these ones are harder to care for than people think is people don't realize how much light they actually need. It is a tropical cactus, but they need a lot of light in order to be happy, and they need a lot of light in order to bloom. But they can't handle too much direct sun if they've been growing inside, so they're kind of just in that brightest spot in your house that isn't direct sun category. And with it being kind of a succulent-y leaf, the Christmas cactuses have they're a cactus, but they are thirstier than you would expect a cactus to be. So once they start to look a little shrivelly, that's usually when it's time to water them. But don't let them get too shrivelly because they will die. They will be doomed. If you got one from your grandmother, cool. If it starts to look like your grandmother, it needs water. Number 4 on my list of plants that are harder to keep than people think is alocasias. I see so many beautiful, beautiful black velvet alocasias everywhere right now in department stores. I'm not sure why all of a sudden they're making a comeback, but they're absolutely gorgeous. I have killed 2 of them in my life. I am wary to get another one, but I just love the way they look, and I've been able to keep a dragon scale and a silver dragon happy, so I feel like with my plant knowledge I have now, hopefully I can keep one happy. I do have one corm that I pulled out of the soil from my remnants of my previous black velvet alocasia, and I was able to salvage that one, so it's currently rooting in just a cup of perlite. I'm very excited to see if it will actually grow and I can grow it in leca instead of soil, because I've heard really good things about growing alocasias in leca, so I'll see if that changes my opinion on how difficult they are to care for, but I would say overall alocasias can be very picky. The alocasia watering schedule is kind of like right in the middle of could be difficult if you're not super consistent because they get stressed really easy if their watering is inconsistent. If you give the plant too big of a drink all at once, it doesn't do well. And neither do I, so it's susceptible. Too big of a drink is not usually good for anybody involved. The 5th and halfway point of my list is Marantas. Marantas are also called prayer plants because they do this cool like curl up thing when they're first unfurling. And then over time, they kind of go up and down like weird little wings, depending on if they're thirsty or not. If they do get too thirsty, they will just die. they don't really give you much warning before their leaves curl up and they're goners. You have to be a little bit more careful about keeping track of watering them. That is one thing that the Plant app has really helped me stay on top of, is making sure that the thirstier plants get watered before it is too late for them. I feel like people are used to assuming that calatheas are hard to care for. They are both in the family Marantaceae, and they are both picky about water. So just making sure to stay on top of their watering schedule is the best way to keep them happy. The 6th plant on my list is most ferns. I have a few exceptions to this note. I have a kangaroo paw fern, and it is not terribly thirsty. It droops when it is thirsty, and then I just water it and it comes right back. It's real springy that way. I have a very small blue star fern that has been doing very well, but I do keep it moist pretty much all the time. I do have a couple of ostrich ferns in pots outside, and they're usually kept as landscaping plants, so I just have them in a shady spot on my patio because I like the way they look, and they've been doing really well. But if they do dry out, all of their leaves kind of crisp up and start to look sad, and you have to chop it back, and it's not a fun time. Not good. The 7th plant on my list is one that I'm starting to see more and more again, is majesty palms. Majesty palms are really pretty and really cool. If you can figure out how to keep them happy, you're doing something better than I am, because I tried one once and I was so excited to get it home. I put it in this nice pot. It had the proper soil, had what I thought was proper light. They need a lot of light, and they can't be dry. They can't really dry out. They need humidity. They need a lot of light. Really, they're not a great houseplant, but they're, I guess, cheap. They must be kind of cheap to produce, because I see them in mass all the time right now, especially in Home Depot and Lowe's. There's a lot of majesty palms around where I am here in Wisconsin, so it just kind of depends where you are, maybe. But my majesty palm I got for $20 like 2 years ago at Home Depot, and I was so excited to take it home. Brought it in and I let it acclimate, and then I did a repot. I tried not to stress it, and they grow really slow, so it dropped all the way down to just having one little leaf. It finally grew 2 more, but they were never quite uniform as I would have liked them to be, so I did end up just throwing that plant away because it died back again at the end of the summer 2 summers ago, and it wasn't doing good. So I would say majesty palms in the store, they look like they should be easy to take care of. They have like a 5-second shelf life in your house. Overall, I would say that majesty palms are significantly harder to care for than people realize until they have it at home and it drops all its leaves. The 8th plant on my plants that are picky list today is Philodendron fuzzy petiole. This type of philodendron I have been seeing a lot more recently. Again, I was really excited when I found one. I bought a 4-inch pot and it had 7 plants in it. So I separated a couple of them, and some of them survived and some of them didn't. I have noticed that if you miss watering for like a couple days, or if they don't have good enough humidity for a couple days, their leaves will get stuck when their new leaves are emerging, and then the stem will snap because it will get stuck in the sheath rather than just emerging and unfurling. It just gets stuck, and then either you pull the leaf out manually and it kind of comes out sad and not quite developed properly, or you can cut the leaf back and try again, which I've had to do. I've had to do both of those things, so it's okay. Trial and error. I have a fine mister that I don't usually mist any plants. I'm not about misting plants, but I do mist those when they have new leaves coming out, just to make sure there's enough moisture around the leaf as it's popping out of the sheath to make sure it doesn't get stuck. It does helps them to mist them when they're in active growth, but unless they have proper airflow, it would probably not be good for them. Mine all have good airflow, but if they don't have good airflow, I wouldn't recommend misting them. The 9th plant on my list is one that I didn't realize would be hard until I started actually trying to grow them. My number 9 plant is avocado trees. It probably seems kind of silly, but especially during when everybody was locked up in 2020 and 2021, I started putting avocado pits in water and sprouting them that way. I have never had one not sprout. I have tried rooting them in perlite. I've tried putting them straight into soil, but the most successful way that I've found to start an avocado tree from a pit is by just putting it on a jar of water and making sure it's always half submerged in the water. I currently have one that I'm trying to get started on the greenhouse cabinet behind my camera that is just in a vase that had a hyacinth bulb in it a couple years ago. I actually think I got it from like Walmart or something, and the hyacinth was pretty, but it eventually died back after it bloomed, and I kept the vase because it's the perfect size for holding avocado pits, because it kind of goes like, yoop. you know? So it's really easy to just set the avocado pit in there and fill it up so that the water covers the bottom half of the avocado and just let it do its thing. As long as it's in a bright location, it is easy to start an avocado tree. Super easy to start avocado trees, not super easy to keep them happy. Once you put them into soil, they're harder to keep happy because they're not guaranteed constant moisture. And their roots grow really fast because it's a tree. Overall, I would say just making sure that you water it often and make sure that the soil doesn't dry out too much between waterings. That would probably be the best way to keep an avocado tree happy. My 10th and final plant that is hard to care for some people actually isn't one that I've had a hard time with, but I've known many people who have. It's any type of ficus. So I can't keep fiddle-leaf figs alive to save my life, but my best friend can. She has a beautiful one in her living room. But I can keep pretty much any type of Ficus elastica happy. I have another friend that gave me a stick in a pot that was a Ficus Audrey that had dropped all of its leaves, and it has since been living on my patio, and it now has 6 leaves. So it's been doing good outside. I'm not sure how it's going to do when I bring it back in, but I do keep multiple ficus trees indoors over the winter. They've all grown quite a bit this summer, so I'm really impressed by how much growth I've seen with them, just keeping them outside. They get sun from sunrise to roughly noon when the sun is just starting to move over the peak of where our house is. And they did really well out there this summer. None of them are sun scorched. I do like to go through and hose them off. I think that has helped prevent pests. But otherwise, I would say they can definitely get spider mites if they're growing outside. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on if you choose to grow your rubber trees outside. But that's gonna do it for today, guys. That is my list of the top 10 plants that are harder to care for than people think, in my opinion. And I think that some of them are harder than others. I've had good experiences with ficus, but I know lots of people who haven't. Same thing with English ivy. I've had a lot of people tell me English ivy is not hard to keep, and I'm just silly. That's possible. I might just be silly. Let me know in the comments down below if there is a plant that you have that you feel everybody else has an okay time caring for and you just can't do it. I would be curious to know if anybody else has a hard time with English ivies. Because I just can't, I can't, they don't like me. I wish they did. I love them. They're so pretty. If you got something out of today's video or you liked today's video and you haven't done this already, the next time the like button asks you for a book recommendation, please suggest Neurosurgery Fundamentals by Nitin Agarwal. Also, please subscribe to the channel down below and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my future uploads. If you'd like, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. Same story as always. I'm under PinkRex with 2 X's. I have a ton of plant content on TikTok. Check it out if you want to. If you'd like, give it a look. So whether I see you on one of the platforms I just listed or down in the comment section below, please comment something. Just know I really appreciate you being here and I still have absolutely no idea what I am doing. Okay, thanks, bye. Will I ever know what I'm doing? I don't think I ever will. I think I'm just gonna be stuck in this perpetual state of having no idea what I'm doing. Okay, thanks, bye.